Hello students, welcome back to my video. Today we are going to start with chapter number 8, that is pointers. So now let us understand what is a pointer with its definition. A pointer is a variable that holds a memory address, usually the location of other variable in memory. So pointer means it's not a value, but it will hold the address of the variable which holds the value. The pointers are one of the C++'s most useful and strongest feature. The correct understanding and the use of pointer is critical to successfully programming in C++. The three reasons that it supports this feature is: first one, pointer provide the meaning through which the memory location of the variable can be directly accessed and hence can be manipulated to the way as required. Second, pointer supports C++'s dynamic allocation routines. And the third point is pointers can provide the efficiency of certain routine. The idea behind pointer are not complicated. Here, the first key concept is every byte in the computer's memory has an address. Addresses are numbers just as your house number. A variable stored in a memory address is called a pointer, as it points to the specific memory location whose address it is storing under its name. Now let us see the topic C++ memory map. Pointer has a close relation with memory as they store address of memory location, and also they facilitates C++ dynamic memory allocation routines. We must understand the way C++ organize. So how the values of pointers are being stored in memory is understood by this figure. And not only pointer values, but the usual variable that we declare in the program are stored in the following way. Now the stack stores the area of functions called return address, argument and local variables. So it stores the value of function calls as well as the address of local variable. Then heap is area used for dynamic allocation of memory. So when we dynamically allocate any variable with the help of cin, then this heap is used. Then global variable, which we write outside the void main or outside in the class, then those variables are called global variable. Those are stored over here and the program code into this memory block. There are two types of memory allocation, that is dynamic and static allocation of memory. The golden rule of computers states that anything and everything that needed to process must be loaded into internal memory before its processing takes place. It says that whatever we need to run the program or whatever variable or function is needed to run the program, first we have to store it into the internal memory and then only the run process can be taken place. The main memory is allocated in two ways: static memory allocation and dynamic memory allocation. Static memory allocation, when the amount of memory to be allocated is known beforehand and the memory is allocated during the compilation itself, it is referred to as static memory allocation. So when we declare a variable which is declared beforehand, like if we write int I, then short here a where is written, or we can write float f double xyz, whatever we write, but if we declare it beforehand before the program gets compiled, then that is called a static memory allocation. The second one is dynamic memory allocation, when the amount of memory to be allocated is not known beforehand, rather it requires to allocate memory as and when required during the runtime itself, then the allocation of memory at runtime is referred to as dynamic memory allocation. So when we give a space in the memory when the program is running, that is called a dynamic memory allocation. The next topic is free store. Store is a pool of unallocated heap memory given to a program that is used by the program for dynamic allocation during execution, which is for the runtime. So whenever we want to allocate the memory for the runtime variable or runtime allocation is needed, then we will use this free store. The allocated free store memory is unnamed. Objects allocated on the free store and manipulated indirectly through pointers. Other aspect of free store is that the allocated memory is uninitialized. The programmer is responsible to initialize it explicitly. So it means that whenever this free store is given, it does not have any name. So it is the responsibility of the programmer to allocate the space dynamically and then give the name, then delete the used space whenever it is not used. The free store memory is allocated with the use of new operator and deallocated through the delete operator. So this new keyword is used to create the free space or dynamic allocation of memory is done, and delete keyword is used to unallocate or deallocate the memory space. The storage allocated through the use of operator new remains bound to the object until it is explicitly deallocated by the programmer with the use of delete keyword. Let us see how the pointers are declared and initialized. So declaration and initialization of pointer. Pointer variables are declared like normal variables except for the additional use of unary asterisk operator, which is this star operator. This operator we also use for multiplication, but if we add it before the variable name, then it becomes a pointer variable. For example, first let us see the syntax. We have to write the type, so that is a data type, then we have to mention this asterisk and the variable name. In the example given over here, it says that if we declare a variable, this is a normal variable or a static variable where we have given I value a 25 number or 25 value, and we have declared a pointer variable which is IPTR. This is a random name given, you can give any name, but before that you have to remember, you have to give the asterisk sign to make it pointer. Now if I want to store the value, suppose 25 into the pointer value, then I will write this ampersand sign. This is a AND sign, usually we write for a AND, but here we call it an ampersand sign. This will store the address of the variable, normal variable I, into the pointer variable. The operand of ampersand operator is an ordinary variable, but the operand of asterisk operator is a pointer variable. So it says that this is a pointer variable and this is an normal or an ordinary variable. Dereferencing refers to changing or accessing state of the pointer. A pointer variable must not remain uninitialized, since uninitialized pointer cause a system crash. So if we do not have any value to give to this pointer, then it is compulsory to assign a null value to it, as it specifies that it for the time being it is not having any value, but later on we will use this pointer value. So as you can see over here, we cannot keep the empty value. Now if you will have a doubt that we have not given here any value, because immediately after this sentence we are assigning the value of I to int, that's why there is no need of null. While in this, after writing the pointer variable, we are not initializing or declaring any value to give to IPTR. That's why we are writing null. So pointer values or variables will never remain empty. It will have a value which is null if we do not want to give any value for time being. Initializing the pointer variable with null, that is 0 pointer. So if there is nothing to give to the pointer, then we will give null. Now the next topic after initialization and declaration is null pointer, new addition in C++ 11th standard. This 11th standard is for C++. In this, a new keyword, namely null PTR, has been introduced, which is distinguished null pointer constant. So it says that it is a null pointer. Instead of writing capital NUL in the previous example, as we saw, instead of writing this NULL in capital, we can use this null PTR, which will work the same way. It says that before releasing the C++ 11th standard, the definition of null was this capital NUL filled in the null pointer. But after releasing of the 11th standard, the new addition for the null is null PTR. For example, we can write character, then can give an asterisk sign. This indicates it is a pointer. Then you can give a variable name for the pointer or a name for the pointer is equal to, now I do not want to give any value for time being, that's why we will write null PTR. This will work the same way as null as we wrote in the previous one. Difference between null, which is capital null, and null PTR is that the first difference is null pointer is not defined by C++. It is programmer or compiler defined, whereas null PTR has been defined by C++ as a legal null pointer. And the second point is null, which is capital NULL, is internally mapped to int 0, which means that if I declare int, which is integer, pointer and equal to capital NULL, it will consider it as a 0, whereas null pointer is a legal empty or null pointer. So this null PTR is implicitly convertible and comparable to any pointer type. This feature has another benefits too. Until now, if you had two overloaded functions like this as int, then this is f1 is a function name, and inside the parenthesis if you write the argument, suppose this is an pointer, character pointer argument. So if you write like this way, and again if I write the same with the integer, this would give an error. But this is if I write the different arguments inside the parenthesis, then that thing is called an overloading, which we had learned in the previous video. So this is allowed as this pointer has a different argument than that of a second function. So when we call this function, it will go to the specific function from what we have given the argument. So according to the argument, it will work into it. Now there are two ways to declare the null. Simple null with a capital letter will also do, and the new function which we learned just now with the null PTR. The next topic is pointer arithmetic. Only two arithmetic operations, that are addition and subtraction, may be performed on pointers. When you add 1 to a pointer, you are actually adding the size of whatever the pointer is pointing at. This means that each time a pointer is incremented by 1, it points to the memory location of the next element of its base type. To understand it, here we have an example. So here IPTR and plus plus is written. Now as it will increment the value, as plus plus will happen, it will go to the next address. These are assumed as the address in the memory which stores the value. Now here, if it is pointing to the first address, it will jump and go to the next address, and so on and so forth. Similarly, when you decrement IPTR, which is IPTR minus minus by 1, it will point the location of the previous element of its base type. So suppose if it is pointing to 1002, then it will go to the previous one, that is 1001. In pointer arithmetic, all pointer increase and decrease by the length of the data type they point to. A tip that is to be remembered is, by adding or subtracting 1 to a pointer actually adds or subtracts the size of pointer's base type. Now let us understand what is base address. A pointer holding the address of a very first byte of a memory location where it is pointing to. The address of the first byte is known as base address. So considering the example given previously, if my pointer is pointing to this portion, which is the starting portion, then we can consider this as a base address. So 1001 is the base address. Next topic that we will learn is dynamic allocation operators. Pointers provide necessary support for C++'s powerful dynamic memory allocation system. So after it, let us understand what is dynamic allocation. Dynamic allocation is the name by which a program can obtain memory during runtime. So if I want a space while declaring a variable or a function, if I want a space in runtime, then this dynamic allocation will provide. The global and local variable are allocated memory during compile time. However, you cannot add any global or local variable during runtime. To get a dynamic space, we will use the free store. C++ dynamic allocation routine obtain memory for allocation from the free space or free store. The pool of unallocated heap memory provide to the program. C++ define two unary operator, that is new and delete, that performs the task of allocating and freeing, which is to give a space and to release the space during the program runtime or during the runtime. Since this operator new and delete operates upon the free store memory, they are also called free store operators. So the free store operators are new and delete. The new operator can be used to create object of all types, including the class name, the general form of object. Creating using new is as follow. So to create a new operator, with the help of new operator, we will write the syntax like this way. The syntax is pointer variable name is equal to new and then data type. Example is given over here. This is a pointer variable name, then equal to sign, then new is a keyword and int, so it is an integer type. This will give a dynamic space into the program while the program is running. We saw how to create a dynamic variable. Now let us see how to create a dynamic array. The operator new can also allocate memory for the user defined type like structure, arrays and classes. To allocate memory for a one dimension array, new may be used as following. So the syntax is pointer variable is equal to, then new is a keyword, data type and we will give the size. For example, here I have declared a pointer as value, equal to sign, then a new is a keyword and then the data type with the parenthesis or we can say a square bracket which indicates array. Inside it the size is given. It will create a memory space for the free store from the array of 10 integers. Now fourth value of 0 will refer to as the first element of an array, value 1 will be referred to as second element, value 2 as third element, and so on. On initializing or initializers could be specified for array until C++11 is arrived. The notes that are to be kept in mind is, first one, all array sizes must be supplied in square bracket when new keyword is used for array creation. The second one is, with a new operator, a value supplied in a round bracket, which is round parenthesis you can say, is works as an initial value, whereas the value supplied in the square bracket works as a size array. Now in the continuation of the same topic, the next topic is the new operator and 2D array. So till now we had seen the 1D array, now it will be applied to the 2-dimension array. Allocating the space for 2-dimensional array using new, one need to be little tricky. That is, after obtaining the dimensions say R and C, where R is for rows and C is for column, one need to allocate space as follow. So here as you can see, there are three variables declared. First one is for the pointer variable and row and column, so R and C. Now this C out we have initialized to print the statement as it is, C in to take the value of row and column, so how many rows in the matrix I want and how many columns. And the last statement over here is, we are assigning the new variable to the pointer with the help of 2-dimension array. As written over here, we have the pointer variable is equal to new, then integer which is a data type written, and here instead of writing in the square bracket writing the one size, we have given row and column. This will create the 2-dimension array. By default, operator new returns 0, which is null, when insufficient free space is available to satisfy your requirement. So if there is no space, it will return us 0. The lifetime of an object created by new is not restricted to the scope in which it is created. It lives in the memory until explicitly deleted using the delete option. So when we create any object using new, it won't be deleted by itself, we will have to use the delete operator. When an object is created through new is no longer needed, it must be destroyed so that the memory space occupied by it must be released for reuse. It is done with the delete operator. So delete is a keyword. The syntax is delete, you have to write the keyword and the pointer variable. As example given over here, delete keyword we have written and the pointer which we had created with the help of new is written. So it will free the IPTR space what it has been occupied. The array allocated through new are freed using the following. So if in the previous this slide we had learned how to allocate the dynamic array with the help of new, to release those things we will use the delete keyword, then we will give the size and the pointer variable. As example given over here, we will write the keyword delete, then the size and the pointer which is IPTR. So now let us understand with the help of a program how to create and delete the dynamic memory space. So now let us look to the program, how it works. This program is based on creating a program to store the array of roll number and marks for some students. So as many students number we will give, that many roll number and marks we can enter. So here in the program I have added two header files, that is IOStream and Conio. Then in the global area or in the global part I have declared two pointers that are roll number and marks. The initialization of this is done later. Then starts the void main. After that, I have declared the variable name called size to take how many values or how many students name we want in our program. Now the statement, which is how many elements or how many students name you want, then we are taking the number from the user. If suppose user enter 3, then it will come down. Now here in the pointer we are assigning a new space for the roll number. So this is called a dynamic allocation of memory. Here size is 3, we had given on top 3, so it would be 3. Same way for the marks. Now marks is in float, so float and size name. Now the condition is been checked. If the roll number, if it is not a roll number and not a mark, then it will say that out of memory and aborting. So if there is no space or it's not a valid number, then it would be out of this, or it would print this statement. If everything goes well, then it will go to this for loop, which is this one. This will take the value from the user, how the usual input or for loop we used to write the same way. So this will print the statement as enter roll number and marks for student and student number, which student number you want to enter. So if for the first time it will print student 1, second time student 2, and so on. So as many size we have given, it would work according to it, because we have compared it with the size, and with that it will take the value of roll number and marks that would be stored inside the pointer. Then at the bottom, now we have taken the value from the user. Now we have to print that. So here this is a statement, it would be printed as it is as the heading, and we are showing the output. After the use of this memory space, which is dynamically allocated, we have to delete both the memories which were occupied. So we have written the delete statement with the empty square brackets and the pointer name. Same way for the marks, so roll number and marks. And at the end we have written one more thing that we forgot to write is clear screen, that is CLRSCR, sorry, RSCR. Now let us run the program. Now here it is asking how many elements or how many students name and mark you want in an array. So we will write 3. Now it is asking enter roll number and mark for student number 1. So let me enter roll number 1, and with that its marks are 78. Okay. Now for student number 2, I want to enter roll number 2 and 54. And for roll number or student 3, its roll number is 3. It's not necessary to give in a sequence, you can give any roll number, but let me take over here in a sequence, and the marks for them is 91. When I'll press enter, you can see the output is roll number in the roll number column and marks in the marks column. So this way the pointer will work. It works, or the output would be same like the normal array, but it working is different. Now as soon as we'll come out of it, it will delete the pointer value and free the dynamic memory space. After looking to the program, there are some memory leaks while using this new and delete keyword in the program. There is no doubt about the fact that new and delete key are very useful, but they have an associated problem that is easy to forget to delete something that was previously allocated with new. Improper use of new and delete may lead to memory leaks. Make sure the memory allocated through new must be properly deleted through delete. So as we know in the program, we had used the new keyword to allocate the memory dynamically. Now if we forget to write delete, then there would be a memory leak. So whatever values we will assign to the pointer with the help of new, if we forget to delete, that would remain as it is in the memory, and then that data can be leaked. Many possible reasons lead to the situation of memory leaks. Most common of these are: first one, forgetting to delete something that has been dynamically allocated. So if we have written new and then we forget to write delete, that is one possibility where the memory leak can happen. Second one, failing to notice that code has bypassed the delete statement under certain circumstances. So sometime when we run the program, the compiler will skip the delete statement and can continue. So that can be also a memory leak. And the third one is assigning the result of new statement to a pointer that was already pointed to an allocated object. So this means that if we point the new to the same pointer with the help of the pointer object, if we point the same object which is previously pointed by the new keyword, then there can be a possibility of memory leak. So these are the three most common mistakes that we can make, with the help of which the memory can be leaked or can be accessed by others. So here we end our first part of chapter number 8, that is pointer. The next part we will continue in the next video. Thank you.